A sunny pool day turns dark when Karen, a rude mom, slaps my disabled daughter's face. Aisha, a sweet girl in a wheelchair, just wanted to swim. Karen screams she doesn't belong. Will her cruelty win, or will justice save my little girl's smile? Before watching full story, comment below from where you watching. Also like and subscribe the channel. It was a bright, sunny day, and I was so excited to take my daughter Aisha to the public pool. Aisha is 10 years old, a sweet girl with the biggest smile, but she can't walk. She uses a wheelchair because of her disability. She lives with me, her mother, and I'm a single parent doing my best to make her happy. That day, I packed her favorite pink swimsuit and promised her a fun time. The pool is her happy place. She loves water. When she's in it, she forgets she can't move her legs. Her giggles fill the air as she splashes with her arms, feeling free for once. I work hard every day juggling jobs just to see that smile on her face. Aisha doesn't ask for much, just little joys like this. As we reached the pool, her eyes sparkled with excitement. I pushed her wheelchair close to the water, helped her in, and watched her laugh like nothing else mattered. People smiled at us, and for a moment, everything felt perfect. I thought, this is what love feels like, my little girl happy and safe. But I didn't know this day would turn into a nightmare. I didn't see the trouble coming. Aisha was splashing, her tiny hands making waves, when a shadow fell over us. A loud voice broke the peace and my heart sank. Someone wasn't happy, someone who didn't care about my daughter's joy. I looked up and there she was, a woman who'd change everything. I never thought a stranger could hurt my child, my world, in a place meant for happiness. But that's exactly what happened next. Aisha was still in the pool, her small arms moving through the water, her face glowing with a smile that could melt anyone's heart. I sat nearby watching her, feeling proud of how brave she is. She can't use her legs, they've never worked since she was born, but her spirit is stronger than anyone I know. That's when I heard it, a sharp, loud voice cutting through the sound of splashing and laughter. I turned my head and saw her, a woman stomping toward us, her face twisted in anger. She had 2 kids trailing behind her, whining about something, but she didn't care. I'll call her Karen because that's what she was, rude, selfish, and loud. Karen stopped right by Aisha's wheelchair, which I'd parked neatly by the pool's edge. She pointed at it like it was trash and shouted, "Whose junk is this? It's blocking the way." My stomach tightened. I stood up, forcing a polite smile, and said, "It's my daughter's. She needs it to get around." But Karen didn't stop. She glared at Aisha in the pool and snapped, "And what's she doing? Splashing like that, it's annoying my kids." Her voice was so harsh I felt it like a slap. Aisha's splashing wasn't loud or wild. She was just playing, her only way to enjoy the water. I took a deep breath, trying to stay calm for Aisha's sake. "She's disabled," I explained softly. "Her legs don't work, so she swims with her arms. She's not hurting anyone." I hoped Karen would soften, maybe feel a little kindness. But her eyes narrowed and she crossed her arms. "I don't care," she barked. "She shouldn't be here if she can't act normal." My heart pounded. Normal? Aisha was perfect to me, better than perfect. I wanted to scream, but I swallowed it down and said, "Please, just let her have this. It's all she has." Karen didn't listen. She stepped closer, her voice rising, "Move her or I'll make you." People around us turned to look, some curious, some frowning. Aisha stopped splashing, her little head tilting toward the noise. I saw her smile fade and it broke me. Karen kept yelling, "This pool isn't for people like her." Her words stung worse than anything I'd ever heard. Eyes were on us now and I felt trapped, my daughter's happiness slipping away, stolen by this woman who didn't even know us. I didn't want to fight, but I could feel it coming. The air felt heavy now, like a storm was brewing right there by the pool. Karen's voice grew sharper, slicing through the warm day. "Get her out," she demanded, pointing at Aisha, who was floating quietly in the shallow end. "She doesn't belong here." Her words hit me like stones, each one harder than the last. I looked at my daughter, her small body bobbing in the water, her arms resting for a moment. She didn't understand why this woman was so angry, and neither did I. All I knew was I had to protect her. Aisha's eyes found mine, wide and unsure. She started to cry, soft whimpers at first, but she still tried to smile, just for me. That little smile, shaky and brave, twisted something deep inside me. She was scared, but she didn't want me to worry. My chest tightened, and I stepped forward, planting myself between her and Karen. "She has every right to be here," I said, my voice steady even though I was trembling inside. "This pool is for everyone, not just you." I wasn't yelling, I didn't want to scare Aisha more, but I meant every word. Karen's face turned red, her hands clenched into fists. "You don't tell me what's right," she screamed, spit flying from her mouth. I saw her arm move before I could react, fast like a whip. Then it happened. Her hand cracked across Aisha's face, a loud, awful slap that echoed over the water. My daughter's head jerked to the side, her cries turning into a sharp sob. The crowd around us gasped, a wave of shock rippling through them. I froze for a second, unable to believe it. A grown woman had just hit my child, my defenseless, innocent girl. My heartbreak came like a flood. My little girl who can't even defend herself, was hit by a stranger, I thought, the words burning in my mind. Aisha's cheek was red, her tears mixing with pool water as she reached for me with trembling hands. I rushed into the water, pulling her close, feeling her shake against me. She couldn't fight back, couldn't even stand to run away, just a tiny soul who'd been hurt for no reason. Karen stood there, breathing hard like she'd won something. But all I could see was my daughter's pain, her trust in the world cracking. The gasps turned to whispers, but I barely heard them. All I felt was rage and sorrow locked together in my breaking heart. The pool went silent for a heartbeat after the slap, then erupted into chaos. People who'd been lounging or swimming stopped everything, their faces full of disbelief. A man nearby shouted, "What's wrong with you?" his voice booming across the water. A couple of moms by the benches stood up, yelling, "You don't hit a child." Others moved toward us, their eyes soft with worry, asking, "Is she okay?" They surrounded me and Aisha like a shield, some bending down to check on her as I held her tight in the water. Her quiet sobs cut through me, each one a dagger. Karen didn't care. She stomped her foot, her voice shrill and wild. "She ruined my day," she screamed, pointing at Aisha like she was a criminal. "I'm calling the police, this isn't fair to my kids." Her threat made my blood run cold, but I was too angry to speak. My hands shook as I pressed Aisha's head to my chest, her wet hair sticking to my skin. Tears burned my eyes, mixing with the fury boiling inside me. How could she blame my daughter, my gentle, harmless girl, for her own cruelty? Then a kind stranger stepped in, an older woman with gray hair and a soft face. She knelt by the pool's edge, ignoring Karen's ranting. "Sweetheart, you're so brave," she whispered to Aisha, her voice warm like a hug. Aisha peeked up, her sobs slowing, and the woman handed her a small towel to dry her tears. Then she turned to Karen, her tone sharp but calm. "You should be ashamed. Hitting a child who can't fight back? That's not a mother, that's a bully." The crowd murmured in agreement, some nodding, others glaring at Karen. I felt a flicker of hope through my pain. Strangers cared, people I didn't even know were standing up for us. Aisha clung to me, her breathing shaky, and I whispered, "You're safe now." But Karen's phone was already in her hand, and I braced myself for what came next. Karen didn't stop. She yanked her phone from her bag, her fingers jabbing at the screen as she dialed. "I'm calling the police," she yelled loud enough for everyone to hear. Then she started lying, her voice dripping with fake panic. "This woman attacked me and her kid's dangerous, she's out of control." My heart dropped. Dangerous? Aisha couldn't even stand, let alone hurt anyone. I looked down at my daughter in my arms, her eyes red from crying, and felt a wave of dread. Karen was so sure of herself, pacing and talking fast into the phone, like she'd already won. Minutes later, 2 police officers walked in, their boots heavy on the concrete. The crowd parted and I felt their eyes on me. My stomach twisted, I was terrified. What if they believed her? Karen was loud, confident, pointing at me like I was the villain. I'm just a mom, quiet and tired, holding my fragile girl. My voice shook as I tried to speak, but Karen kept talking over me, insisting she was the victim. I wanted to run, but Aisha needed me to stay strong. I lifted Aisha's face gently, showing the officers her cheek, still pink and swollen from Karen's hand. "Look," I said, barely above a whisper. "She hit my daughter. Aisha's disabled, she can't walk or fight. She didn't do anything wrong." The taller officer frowned, glancing at Aisha, then at Karen. Before I could say more, a man from the crowd stepped up. "I saw it," he said firmly. "That woman slapped the little girl. We all did." A young woman with a baby on her hip nodded. "She's lying. The kid's harmless." The officers turned to Karen, their faces hard now. But then Aisha's tiny voice broke through, soft and trembling. "Am I bad, Mommy?" she whispered, her lips quivering as she looked up at me. My throat closed up and I nearly broke. I knelt in the water, cupping her face. "No, baby," I said, tears spilling over. "You're perfect. You're the best thing in my world." She buried her face in my shoulder and I held her tighter, glaring at Karen through my tears. The witnesses kept talking, their voices rising, and I saw the officers' expressions shift. Karen's lies were crumbling, but my fear lingered. Would they see the truth? I prayed they'd look at Aisha and know she didn't deserve this. The police listened. The taller officer scribbled something in his notebook as the witnesses kept talking, their voices steady and sure. Karen's face twisted, her confidence fading as she tried to interrupt. "This is ridiculous," she snapped, but the officers didn't budge. The shorter one stepped toward her, his voice low but firm. "Ma'am, we've got multiple people saying you hit a child. That's not okay." They didn't cuff her, but they took her name and details, warning her to stay away. Someone in angered crowd muttered, "Ban her from the pool," and the officer nodded, saying, "We'll report this to management." Karen stormed off, muttering under her breath, her kids trailing behind her. I exhaled, my knees weak with relief. Aisha was still in my arms, her head resting on my shoulder, her breathing finally calm. The police gave me a small nod before leaving, and suddenly people closed in, not with anger but with kindness. A teenage boy with a shy smile ran up, holding a dripping chocolate ice cream cone. "For her," he said, handing it to Aisha. Her eyes lit up and she took it with a tiny "thank you," her voice still shaky but sweet. An older man in a faded hat approached next, his hands in his pockets. "Next time you come, it's on me," he said gruffly. "No kid should go through that." Others murmured agreement, some patting my back, others smiling at Aisha like she was their own. I sat by the pool's edge, Aisha licking her ice cream, a little smear of chocolate on her chin. Her smile crept back, small at first, then wide and real. My heart swelled, pushing out the ache. That day I saw the worst in someone, cruelty I couldn't understand. But I also saw the best in others, strangers who didn't have to care but did. They stood up, they helped, they brought my daughter's light back. That's all that matters to me, her happiness, her trust in the world, unbroken despite everything. I wiped my eyes, watching her giggle at the melting ice cream, and felt peace settle in. As we left, I turned to look at the pool one last time, the water sparkling under the sun. I couldn't help but wonder, what would you do if this happened to your child? Would you fight? Would you break? Or would you find strength in the kindness of others like I did?